blinded now, can't see the fight. Smoke and mirrors, they lead the way. Fooling hearts night after day. Welcome to the show, it's all pretend. The smiles, the lies, the perfect end. It's all pretend. The smiles, the lies, the perfect end. The world's a stage, they run the flow. You clap on cue down in the front row.
Welcome. Trying out a new camera tonight, so see how it goes. Having a little bit of throat issues tonight. Been kind of down in the dumps, so apologize for that. But other than that, let's get going into this episode. I believe this is episode 41. Talking about the scripted reality. 2025's Running Man is now. So, in 1982, Stephen King, written as Richard Bachman, penned a novel about a man named Ben Richards. And he was a father in a broken America, forced to enter a lethal game show to pay for his daughter's medicine. For decades, we treated The Running Man as a cautionary tale. Then came 1987, and Arnold Schwarzenegger turned it into a neon-soaked caricature of the future. And I loved that movie. That was a really, really good movie. Growing up, I was a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I watched all his movies multiple times. But here we are. It's March of 2026, and last year, Edgar Wright and Glenn Powell released a new version of The Running Man, and they didn't set it in the faraway future. They set it in basically the now, or really close to now. And they stayed true to the book's grittiness, but they added something the 80s couldn't conceive of. Wasn't really thought of then. And that is the total AI-driven manipulation of reality. And they showed us a world where the government doesn't just kill you, they erase your soul and replace it with a digital ghost that serves their narrative. And as we're going through, if the camera and stuff's moving too much, let me know in the comments. That way we can make some adjustments. So kind of doing what we can, changing some things around. So today, we're going to look at the breakdown of the money pie. We're looking at how the government writes the script and how the network sells the soul and how AI alters the story, all to keep the wheels of the American machine turning. And so Hollywood, the music industry, the history of propaganda, nothing is off limits, and this is basically scripted reality. And so I got this idea. I was watching the show yesterday, and I really got to thinking about the movie and the little bits and pieces of the movie, and how like we are not too far off from this, and how basically the government or the machine, the system, really almost has control of every aspect of our lives, basically from the story that we're fed on the news, the propaganda. I mean, we can really see that in the war in Iran. Like, you just don't know what version of the story is true that they're feeding you, you know? So you really got to take a step back, and you really have to look at multiple sources from multiple different websites, multiple different avenues, just to get to a story that could potentially be real. And that really shined through in this movie, in that the main character is telling the viewership or the audience of the network one thing, and the network is changing his story into something else, and really making him an enemy of the entire state for the first basically 3/4 of the movie. And the problem with that is that time and time again within the entertainment industry, we are sold and we buy the side of the rebels, like in Star Wars and the Hunger Games and in The Running Man and so many others, that we side with the rebels, but when it comes to reality, we're siding with the Empire. We sit back and we basically do nothing, and we don't rebel in any way, shape, or form. And so that the Empire, the government, America, whoever, right, the deep state, they know that we're never going to rebel, and so they just keep doing what they do over and over and over, okay? So let's kind of get into this. So in The Running Man, the network is the unofficial fourth branch of the government. But is that fiction? So let's look at history of the American world, and we're just going to take it from just the side of America. So we go back to 1917, and we look at the Committee on Public Information, or the Creel Committee. Woodrow Wilson didn't think Americans were ready for World War I, so he hired George Creel to engineer consent. He didn't just put up posters. He hired 75,000, what they called the 4-Minute Men, volunteers who would give 4-minute speeches in movie theaters during the time it took to change the film reels back in the day. And so the government literally wrote the script for intermission for your entertainment. And they realized then, if you want to move a nation, you don't lecture them. What do? Well, just like the Romans did with the bread and circus. You entertain them. And so we fast forward to Operation Mockingbird in the 1950s. The CIA didn't just watch the news, they were the news. They recruited top-tier journalists from like the New York Times and CBS and Time Magazine, and they paid them to insert specific narratives called the scripts into the daily diet of us, the American people. And when you think you're watching a neutral report, which it should be, the news should be neutral, unbiased. It should not be left-winged. It should be not right-winged. It shouldn't be for white people or black people or whatever. It should be right down the middle, not biased, and it should be neutral. And you're actually watching a scene directed by Langley, by the CIA. Or nowadays it would be the deep state. And the proof is happening today. Look at the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. For decades, it was illegal for the U.S. government to direct propaganda at its own citizens. And in 2013, that ban was lifted. The government can now legally disseminate information domestically that was previously only for foreign audiences. And so the script is now legal. It's in your feed, it's in your movies, it's in your ears, it's all of social media. Like, it's literally everywhere, okay? And so let's pause for a moment and let's ask a question, because we're all full of questions here. If the legal barriers between public diplomacy and domestic propaganda have been erased, how do you know which of your organic political beliefs were actually drafted in a basement in D.C.? And by that, your beliefs and I shouldn't say your morals and values, although that can be directed in a certain way as well, but is your beliefs being directed by and towards a certain political ideology within the government sector or within the deep state? Okay. And so how do they sell this to us? Because I've informed the idea that going back to biblical times, and I've talked about this before, beginning with Adam and Eve, everything has to be consent. We especially Americans, we have to consent to give our rights away, to be like, government, yes, you can do this to us. We would love for you to take these freedoms and rights away to control us. Don't get me wrong, we have to have a little bit of control. There has to be a little bit of law. Otherwise, you're going to have anarchy and chaos, okay? But how do they sell these ideas to us that make them good? And in steps the music industry, and of course, we've talked about the industry of Hollywood. So the government writes the scripts, but the networks sell it. And the networks, I mean the entire entertainment complex. Hollywood, the music labels, the streaming giants like Netflix, Paramount, Hulu, Disney Plus, all of them. And so all of them do it, okay? And like I said, I apologize for my voice. I think I'm losing my voice. I'm going through some things now, so bear with me. So Hollywood isn't just a dream factory, it's a perception shifter. And a 2025 study showed that films like Argo and Zero Dark 30 can increase public trust in government institutions by nearly 10% in a single viewing. One time. That's all it takes. This is predictive programming. They show you the surveillance state in a, oh, that's an awesome, cool way. So we think of like Captain America and the Winter Soldier or the Circle, so that when the idea of the real world surveillance arrives and it knocks on your doorstep, it seems familiar. It feels inevitable, like, oh, come on in. You're welcome. Welcome. Would you like to have a glass of tea? Have a seat. I would love to be surveillance. Take my picture. Record me. Right? Because we have allowed them. We have said, yes, it is okay for you to do this to us. Okay? And in the music, let's talk about, or I should say, don't get me started on the whole shebang. Because like when they package all the stuff in a neat little package the way that it is, like that's the whole shebang, right? And so the music industry is the emotional glue for the script. Think about the rise of industrial plants. We see artists who appear out of nowhere with a perfectly crafted rebel look, but they are backed by the three major labels that control 70% of the music industry. They take the raw, honest anger of the youth and they commodify it. They turn into something that people want to buy, especially the kids. It's all about the kids. Been saying that from the beginning. It's all about the kids. Everything is about kids. And they turn their revolution your revolution into what? Into multiple things. They turn into a 30-second TikTok, right? Everything is a TikTok now. Of course, most of it's not 30 seconds. Most of it's like 5 to 10. Or an Instagram reel, a sound that sounds amazing, or they sell you energy drinks that's no sugar, no caffeine. It's amazing for you, although it destroys your gut and kills your immune system and poisons you. But hey, it's sugar-free. That's a bonus, right? So in 2025, we saw AI actors like Tilly spark narrative wars in Hollywood. These aren't just characters, they are test cases. If a network owns a digital star, they own the message 100%. No scandals, no protests, no unions. It's just a perfectly well-crafted, scripted sell that you buy or your kids buy, right? And then because your kids like it, what do? You go out and buy it, okay? Because you got to. So in the new Running Man, Ben Richards tries to tell the truth to the cameras. He tries to, he has to record himself every day, and then he sends it in, and then they play that clip on TV. It's definitely worth a watch. I would watch both of them, honestly. I would watch the Arnold Schwarzenegger one first, just because I'm an Arnold fan. But like I said, this one takes it to a whole new level. And so he records himself, and he sends these tapes in, but the networks has an AI that replaces his voice and him as a person. The way that he looks the same, but the way that he moves and different things, like it's all different. And it replaces with a deep fake in real time. And we will get there if it's not already. Like if we don't already have real time, like you and I can't play with this stuff. But the stuff that we play with is how they perfect the bigger AI that's down the road. Okay? And so he speaks truth, but the audience hears a confession of guilt. And so this is the AI narrative in 2026. We are seeing narrative attacks happen daily. In the late 2025, so in late of last year, we saw the first documented AI orchestrated cyber attacks were LLMs, and they didn't just steal data, they generated fake bank runs by spreading doctored screenshots of financial collapses. They didn't have to break into a vault. They just had to change the story in our mind as the public. They had to change our perception. How are we perceiving the story? Okay? And so like in the movie, they did a very, very, very good job of this. All the way up until like 75-80% of the way through. So our social media feeds are now curated by engagement optimized AI. And these algorithms aren't designed to show you or I what's true. They're designed to show you what will keep you on the app so that they can sell another slice of the money pie. And if the truth is boring, which a lot of times it is, what happens? Well, the AI alters it. It alters your reality by burying it and elevating a high arousing lie. And that's part of news. That's what news has been doing for the longest time. Like, we're not told, we're not shown, we're not glamifying like something good happening. What is in the news? It's always death or destruction, murder, chaos, division, because that sells. It arouses our emotions within us, and that sells. And so we are living in a filter bubble where the AI acts as a real-time editor for your entire worldview. And especially now with this war in Iran, there's so many pictures, so many videos that are fake, that you really do have to sift through all the bullshit to get to something that is actually true and real. And for most people, sorry, but we're lazy, especially Americans. We are really fucking lazy. We just don't take the time to multiple source this stuff out and to really find if what we're being fed is good, wholesome stuff, or if it's just a lot of sugar-indulged bullshit. And so here comes to question 2. When the AI can generate a perfect deep fake of a world leader or a celebrity in seconds, does the concept of proof even exist anymore? Or have we entered an era where truth is simply whatever the most powerful server says it is? And that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. And so this isn't a long one tonight. So as we start to conclude here, it all leads back to the money pie. In 2025, The Running Man, the movie, it reminds us that the spectacle is a revenue stream. Every click, every outrage, every viral moment is a transaction, a digital transaction. And unfortunately, when we get to digital currency, which we will, I mean, we're basically already there. We got credit cards and debit cards and PayPal and Venmo, and you don't even have to have a dollar, an actual physical dollar in your pocket, right? I mean, we're already on the cusp of digitalization, complete digitalization. So like every transaction is a viral moment. The government gets its compliance, the network gets their ad revenues, and the AI gets its training data over and over and over and over. And we've seen it throughout history, from the bread and circuses of Rome that we've talked about multiple times, to the Committee on Public Information, to the AI-generated narrative attacks of today. The technology changes, but the actual script remains the same. Keep them distracted, that's us, the masses. Keep us distracted, keep us divided, and keep us buying the BS. All of the BS, all of the cakes and the cookies and the sugar and the soda pop and all the bullshit that's unhealthy for us, right? We want to sell you all of it, okay? In the movie, Ben Richard realizes that the only way to win is to what? Is to stop playing. You got to stop playing their game. He stops being the runner and becomes the glitch. And he disrupts the broadcast. He breaks their system. So as we close, look at your phone. Look at the headlines. Look at the music you're told to love. Look at the people you're told to hate. The actors that you're supposed to follow or fall in love with, or the stories that they try to sell us. Every system that they want us to follow is carefully orchestrated. It's all out there. All of it. It's in our movies. It's in our music. It's online. They're telling us what they're going to do to us every step of the way. Okay? So ask yourself this one final question. If you, and be honest with yourself in all of these questions, don't bullshit yourself, okay? Don't bullshit yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you were the star of The Running Man today and the AI was already editing your words to fit the script, if your words, if they're faking your words, if they're changing your words that you're telling your audience, that you're telling your family and telling the world, how would you tell the world that you're still human? If they're editing your words and your script, how are you going to get your words and your thoughts to the rest of society? Because the script is written and the cameras are rolling. Big Brother's out there, whether you want to or not, believe it. Big Brother is out there. And what are you going to do when they call your name to be on The Running Man? I'm your host. This is Breaking the System. Peace out. God bless. We'll see you guys next time.